What? 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 Renette! Renette! Renette, we gotta go! Universal Studios is having Halloween Horror Nights right now. They're doing 2 houses. We can go to Halloween Horror Nights right now.
I can't, I have to work. Maybe next weekend we can.
And maybe next week. Bye! Making my way through City Walk without Renette was pretty easy because it didn't seem too crowded. However, once I got into the park, it reached capacity pretty quickly. The only way to get into the Horror Nights houses is through the virtual queue, so you'll have to download the Universal Studios app and keep refreshing until you see it become available. I ran into some friends while waiting for my arrival time for the attraction, and we were able to share each other's tickets. Our first stop was Bride of Frankenstein, and because the line is virtual, you don't stop while you're walking in. But unfortunately, this is where the camera had to turn off because no cameras allowed inside the attraction. Okay, so we just went through the Bride of Frankenstein house. It was pretty great, and it was great that there was something Halloween Horror Nights related. Amanda.
Hello.
When we were going through the house, you ran off ahead because you wanted to be alone.
That's not accurate. You guys left me and I was by myself, so I got scared a lot, and it was great.
All the different things that you love about Halloween Horror Nights is just right there in your face again. It's not, none of the magic was really taken away. Everybody wants that same fear factor that we always had and loved about Halloween Horror Nights, and to walk through a house and still have that, that's just a really cool feeling.
You seem
And
pretty
Nikki,
scared.
Well, yeah, because I'm in a white dress and you guys left me.
I'm so glad they have it. It was weird because it was 9:30 in the morning.
So one of the things that was actually really cool was because they were keeping everyone socially distanced, there was no long conga line through the house. So you actually got to see more of the house, and it felt like the house was longer because of that. And the interesting thing was all of the characters that we saw were protected behind clear plastic. It wasn't super noticeable at first, but it was still a good way of keeping them away from you. But all in all, what would you guys say? Bride of Frankenstein, thumbs up or down?
Thumbs up.
While we waited for our next time slot, we participated in a scavenger hunt called the Scarecrow Stalk. It's pretty simple. You have a map to various locations, you go to these locations, and you get a stamp. And each location, you'll see a spooky scarecrow. Each location scarecrow is different and unique to that location, so take your time and enjoy the search. Last one. Last one.
Last one. Boom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Once you've gotten all of your stamps, you go to one of 2 locations and receive your prize, the candy of your choice. We all made out pretty well. We had just enough time to go through the tribute store before our house and get a moldable Frankenstein. Amanda, you need to wear this.
I already have that head.
Oh.
Do you really?
I do. That was
Why
the
didn't you
best
wear it?
drunken purchase that I have ever made in my life.
Time for Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, and once again, no photos allowed. All right, so we just got out of the Tooth Fairy. It was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the Tooth Fairy for me was better than the Bride of Frankenstein. What do you guys? I did like that the masks that everyone was wearing were either fully covering their face because they were the Tooth Fairy, or it was like the lower half because the Tooth Fairy jacked up their mouth. The cool thing about the Tooth Fairy was it was like you were going through a storybook, and there were a lot of like 2D sets, so it felt like you were walking through a storybook, and there was a narrator telling you the story, but outside of the beginning and the end, I couldn't hear what he was saying because the rest of it was so loud. But I want to know.
It makes you want to go back to the house.
I feel like, did you guys see the movie Babadook?
Yes.
I feel like, because they sold that book. I want the Tooth Fairy book of the experience that we just went through. We're gonna go do it again right now. because we got lucky. I got lucky. So Tooth Fairy? Go socially distanced team. So it was one more visit to the Tooth Fairy before I was ready to call it a day. A very lucky turn of events. So basically what happens is this: when you get to the park, I got here as soon as the park opened. They're only doing virtual queue for the haunted houses, and you have to wait for them to show up in the app. So everyone is standing outside of the houses, even though you don't have to stand outside of the houses. In fact, go find someplace shady, which is what I ended up doing. Keep refreshing the app. The minute the houses went live, I clicked on the first house, which was Tooth Fairy, selected a time. The time it took me to select my time and hit enter, that time slot was gone. And the app was crashing a few times. I'm assuming that's because there were 1,000 people trying to reserve tickets for those houses. I did eventually get a ticket for 12:30. I couldn't get a ticket for the Tooth Fairy. Super bummed out, but thought, well, that's just the way it is. At least I can do one house. As I was walking away, I happened to run into some friends who also just happened to get one extra ticket for the Tooth Fairy house. So it ended up working out that they were able to come with me through the Bride house based on my ticket time, and I was able to join them through the Tooth Fairy house, which was their time. And actually 2 people in their group got tickets, so we did get to do Tooth Fairy twice. It's so exciting that there was Halloween Horror Nights happening, to some extent, Halloween Horror Days. I'm thrilled beyond belief that something of Halloween Horror Nights was salvageable. My hope beyond hope, is that this weekend goes well for them, that logistically it works out, that people love it. I don't see how people wouldn't love it because it's Halloween Horror Nights, or a part of Halloween Horror Nights. My hope is that they will extend this further beyond this first weekend. And if they do, guys, seriously, get out here, get here early so that you can get that reservation in, because you're going to need it, and enjoy the hell out of some Halloween Horror Nights. Bye! Also, check out this dude Orlando Mike's YouTube channel. He does a lot of cool streams from cool locations. I keep running into him. He's a great guy.